Hello everybody and welcome to Going for Goldbridge. It's been too long, hasn't it? But I've just completed an amazing 2 weeks taking the United Stand on tour, and there's loads of stories from that, and I thought, you know what, I'm tired. I just want to sit back with you good people and have a bit of a chat. And it's chucking it down with rain outside. I've just completed a terrible school run a couple of hours ago with Seb. And yeah, I've got a few stories for you about, getting stuck in lifts, flying to Dublin, cows on the train line, and a lot more. So it's about time we had a bit of a catch up. I desperately, desperately would love to turn this into a podcast, that, by the way, if anyone would listen to it. So maybe I can start looking at that because I think it would work really well, hopefully. But yeah, look, what a couple of weeks. We took the United Stand on tour, first ever live shows, life goals. We'll talk about that. But let's get back to that. In fact, that sort of ties in with something. I'm going to go on a tangent, I always do. I was saying on stage that somebody asked me about Gary Neville on stage, and I said, I'd love to do a show with him, but he's scared, he's ducking me. But it's funny because Seb, my son, thinks I'm ducking Gary Neville. And the story behind this is that when I take him to school, there's this person who lets his kids walk about 10 metres every day and then shouts so everyone can hear it, "Don't have a good day, have a great day." And obviously, when you're walking your kid to school who's 5 and you're surrounded by other kids and parents, you can't just go, "knobhead." So I've obviously said, because Gary Neville gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning and tweets, "attack the day," sometimes you don't want to attack the day. Sometimes you're hungover, you've got a headache, you just want to go and swear at yourself in the shower and say, "God, not another day." So these bloody happy-go-lucky people are full of inspiration. One, I don't believe it, and two, don't let it infect my day when I'm in a bad mood. So I think instead of saying knobhead, I've gone, "Oh, here's Gary Neville again," and therefore Seb thinks that person's Gary Neville, and we try and avoid him. So Seb thinks I'm avoiding Gary Neville, which I'm obviously not. But it was chucking it down with rain today. I don't know whether any of you have kids or take kids to school. I mean, hopefully they're your kids. Don't do that. But yeah, it was chucking it down with rain today, which makes it doubly worse. I mean, I find it like it's like breaking down, a park the bus defence anyway, taking kids to school, because people dither around, they walk at different paces, they see people they know and they cover up the whole pathway. It's not for the efficient and those who actually have a life, when you're taking your kids to school, because there's people there who just see it as an event. And when it's raining like today, they've all got bloody massive umbrellas, knocking you in the face. They've just got no self-awareness. In fact, one thing I do notice is there's some really intelligent, on-the-ball parents who just want to get in and out very quickly, drop the kids off, get to work and stuff. And then there's those ditherers who, it's almost like they're taking Brad Pitt to school. Like, they think that they're the centre of the universe. Like, they think them and their kid are the centre of the universe, and they don't seem to contemplate or realise that you don't get an award for dropping something out your chuff that people have been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years. Yeah, it can get quite frustrating. But look, anyway, let's get back to it. What a couple of weeks it's been. We've been to Dublin, Manchester, London, 4 shows in just over a week, and it's been amazing. I've never done live shows before. I definitely got bitten by the bug. I mean, I'd love to do this sort of stuff live. We'll have to wait and see if we can build it out. But yeah, it's been absolutely incredible, and it's only the end of March, so each year it's always nice professionally to look back and go, that's something to tick off and remember. So like last year, it was the Sidemen event, which was fantastic, and the radio show, but it was great. I really enjoyed it. People said, "Oh, did you get nervous?" Well, I think when you're going to go on stage for the first time and you've never done it in front of hundreds of people, there's a little bit of nervousness, but I don't normally get nervous. Oh, that reminds me, actually, I do get nervous whenever I see any of the Sidemen now, because their handshakes are just ridiculous. I don't know whether it's a youth thing, but the youth today, they've took handshaking to a level which panics me. I am panicked by these handshakes. I can deal with a fist pump, I can deal with the normal handshake, and I can even deal with the one where you lock thumbs and you sort of don't, "How you doing, bro?" and you pull them in for a little tap on the back. But there are now handshakes where it starts off like a normal one, it goes into that one, and then they sort of take it away with a hand grip as well. I'm like, I'm not ready for that. I can't do it, and it panics me now. COVID was bad, but there were positives. The negatives were there were a lot of people died and we all had no freedom. but the handshake thing was easy. Fist pump and you move on. But yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about that. But anyway, so look, on tour, a few things to talk about that and get off my chest. First of all, I'm not great at flying, and I haven't flown for a while. In fact, I'm trying to think, the last time I flew was probably pre-COVID, so years and years. And I'm one of those smilers on a plane because I'm hiding the fear. I do not like flying. I used to detest flying, and then I was like, well, if you want to go places, you've got to do it. So I basically just spend my time flying with a smile on my face, pretending that everything's going to be all right. So I'm flying over to Dublin last Monday morning, about 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's a little bit turbulent, but nothing too bad. And to be honest with you, on the way, I'm never that fussed. It's like, you know, when you're flying to America or Mallorca or whatever, like, it's fine. The plane can have turbulence and you're absolutely fine. You're going on holiday. When I'm flying back, every little movement, I think we're going down. I'm terrified. Anyway, we're coming back from Dublin, and it's normally about a 45-minute flight. So it was delayed. It was meant to be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It goes up in the air at about 2:15. And then 20 minutes later, I can see it starting to come down. And I'm like, that's way too early for it to start descending. We've only just gone up. Anyway, the seatbelt lights comes on. Nobody's saying anything. And I'm like, there's like a minute where I'm going, it's definitely moving down. The seatbelt light's gone on. We've had a little bit of turbulence. What's going on? But I'm sat with people I know, and I'm like, I don't want to start panicking them, because if they panic, and that's just going to make my panic worse. So I'm locking eyes. My big tactic here is, you know, you talk about football tactics on a plane. I've always adhered to this. Lock your eyes onto the air stewardesses or steward or whatever they're called these days, because if they're panicking, you know you're in trouble, because it's their job. They're probably doing 4 or 5 flights a day. You know, I've looked at the air steward. You know, I don't know what they're called. Well, you know, the people who give you the drink and tell you to put your bag under your seat and all that stuff. I have been on a plane when it's like really rocking, and I don't mean they're playing music. I mean, it's like it's all over the place. And the air stewardess she's walking down the aisle saying, "Do you want sugar in your tea?" So I'm like, oh, you know, this is fine. They're not panicked at all. Anyway, a few seconds later, a pilot comes on and says, we'll just fasten your seatbelt sights on. It's going to be a little bit rocky, but we are beginning our descent into Birmingham. So I was like, bloody hell, it's just a quick flight. So that was absolutely fine. But I don't like flying. No, I don't. Funny thing is, I've probably mentioned this before. I've flown into Manchester from Dublin before. When I used to live in Dublin, I was coming into Manchester to watch United. And on the regular, they don't do it anymore, I don't think. But on the regular, you'd be on a Ryanair flight, and when it landed in Manchester, everyone would start cheering, which is great, because it's that relief that you've landed. But it's also the whole, where's the level of appreciation then? Because you're setting the bar very high, aren't you? You're always going to cheer, because if you're not cheering, there's clearly a problem. So that was something I always quite liked. I was there cheering as well. I hate flying, I really, really do. But back on the on the air stewardess thing, I remember I was on a flight back from Mallorca. I was tired. It was a lad's holiday, so I'd hardly slept. Tired. Everyone I was with had fallen asleep within like 2 minutes of going in the air, and I think just as we were going in the air, we'd hit a cloud and a bit of turbulence, and it had rocked me a bit, and my old fear of flying had come in, and I just couldn't take my eye off the air stewards for the whole flight. I was just like, every little thing was worrying me. And at one point, we went through a bit of turbulence, and this air stewardess was reeling the trolley, and this panic and fear just came right across her face as we hit a bit of turbulence. And you know when your heart drops into your stomach, I was like, this is it, this is the end. I'm in real big trouble here. And I just was locked onto her stare as she was going like this in real pain. And then the next thing I realised, she's like going off down the alleyway, and someone's coming after her saying sorry because he'd pushed the trolley over her foot. So she, yeah. Sometimes it's a good thing to keep your eye on them, but sometimes it's not. Naturally, they might get pain and fear for something else. But in general, it wasn't too bad, the flights. It wasn't too bad, but it's... I don't mind flying actually, in the sense of it's not as bad as the train in relation to public transport. I don't really care about the people who are sat by me. You know, I know people. When I was queuing up in Birmingham Airport, there was this guy behind me. You know, when someone's got a problem with you and you just want them to say it. So at Birmingham Airport, it was taking bloody hours to get through security. Like literally, they had to come into the. I was queuing up for about 2 hours, and they actually had to call people out of the queue from for the Dublin flight because otherwise we wouldn't have made it. But I was just taking on hand luggage, and everything's got dimensions. And there's this guy behind me, who obviously a frequent flyer, Pratt, and he's got his PA with him, and they're talking away, and he's like, "Oh, it just gets worse. It just gets worse." And all the problem is people taking these oversized bags in. You know, they should be putting them in. They should be putting them in the baggage claim. They shouldn't be taking them on the plane because their bags are too big. So I'm like listening to him with my back to him, and I'm looking in front. I can't see anyone with a big bag, and I have a look around while he's talking about something else. Can't see anyone with another bag. So he's clearly talking about me because I've got my bag on my shoulder like this. So these sort of people don't massively bother me, but like if you've got a problem, say what your problem is. There was no problem with my bag. It might have been 5 centimeters too long. That's what she said. But the reality is it was squashable. You know, you could make it fit. And but generally I don't really mind people on planes because I'm just happy to land, really. There was a guy sat on the aisle next to me, and it was 9 o'clock in the morning, and the drinks trolley was coming through. And I don't believe in having an alcoholic drink just to help you get through something that you're nervous about. So I was like, I did consider it for a few seconds, but I thought, no, I've got a big day ahead of me. But the guy opposite me did. He said, "Can I have 3 bottles of wine, please?" And she said, What? They're only miniature ones. I mean, I'm not saying like he was, you know, it's only a 40-minute flight. You do well to drink 3 big bottles of wine. And she said, what flavours? What do you want, red, white, or rosé? And he went, all 3. So she goes off. He's got his 3 bottles, and I'm literally reading my GQ magazine, not really reading it, looking across. And he went. I was intrigued as to why somebody would have 3 different wine. Why not just have 3 white wines or 3 red wines or rosé? So I was intrigued by that, but then I was intrigued in what order he was going to drink them, because logically I would never do it, but I would say you've got to keep rosé till last because it's sweet like a dessert. You'd probably put white wine first because again it's a sweeter wine, and then have your red as the first. I didn't clock what he had first, but he definitely finished on red. Personally, I just think he wanted to. I think he didn't like flying. He just wanted to drink. But at 9 o'clock in the morning, quite impressive. But no, I don't normally care who I'm sat with. You know, I don't really care. When I'm on the train, it's completely different. Like coming back from London yesterday on the train, and it wasn't particularly busy. So you sort of hope that you sit in your seat and no one's going to sit next to you. But it's a lottery, isn't it? You just do not know. And this is the trouble with the general public. You cannot dictate who sits next to you. Like, it'd be great if you could. I've tried to sort of eyeball them so that they don't dare to sit next to you. But ultimately, I have got manners, so I won't leave my bag on the chair or anything like that. Because I love doing that to people as well. I love it. If I get on a train and there's not many spare seats, and there's somebody who's polite who's left the seat spare, but there's somebody opposite them who's put their bag on the chair, I'll purposely make a point of going to the person who's put the bag there, and sit there. And you'll see them go, they almost want to say to you, there's a seat there with no bag on it. And I'd love them to it, but they won't. They just humph and go, move their bag off the chair. Like, you haven't paid for 2 seats, mate. And just because you're bad mannered doesn't mean I'm going to give you a free ride. But yeah, look, ultimately, you can't dictate who's going to sit next to you. And the great unwashed, they can get on and they can sit next to you, which is great. Or you could end up being squashed, if you know what I mean. But plane journeys, I don't care, really. I'm just focused on the journey and getting back. And, like I say, the landing and the cheer is all I'm there for, really. So, yes. But that takes me on to my next bit. Hotel rooms. What are your thoughts on these? Because I've stayed in 3 separate hotels in the last week, and by the last one, I just about had enough. Normally, it's a bit of a novelty to me. You know, you go in there and you're almost you almost think it's Christmas because they've given you a little tiny shitty biscuit to go with tiny coffee. I mean, have you ever made a cup of coffee or a cup of tea in a hotel room recently? I stayed in quite nice hotels. First of all, I couldn't find the tea and coffee. I had to go in the drawer. Then you take it, it's all on a tray. It's all neatly done. The cups are tiny. They've got some bloody kettle that's small as well. They don't provide you any water, so you're using tap water for your tea. I end up going out to Spa or something like that, buy myself some water to tip in my tea so I know it's clean water. When you've gone through that rigmarole of actually heating it up, you've then got to use the milk they provide, which comes in these, if you're lucky, it comes in these little pots, which is basically like a cow's, done a little squirt of a tit in it. It's like there's hardly any milk in it. Or they do it in these like sachet things that you rip and then you have to squeeze it in and you end up squeezing it in your eye. All for a cup of tea. So then you think, well, you know what? I'm on a break. I've got a bit of time. I've got a bit of money. I'm doing well with the old YouTube super chats, etc. I'll order a cup of tea. So you go to their little booklet and it's like £6.50 for a cup of tea. It's ridiculous what they want to charge you. Absolutely ridiculous. And as well, I got stung on this in London. I was absolutely starving because on the way down, the train actually was meant to take about an hour and a half. And the train journey was a bloody nightmare, actually. Let me come to this. So I'd left Birmingham at around 11 o'clock and I needed to be in London for about 3:30. 20 minutes into the journey, we stop at Warwick. We're just stopping temporarily for a moment. We don't know what's going on. I don't trust that. Straight on my phone. This is the great thing about technology. What's going on? Oh, okay. Emergency incident. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's gone on there. It could be a bloody cow jumping on the line. Who knows? Could be something worse. Probably was, actually, because it did close the line down for hours. And yeah, so I basically ended up having to get a bloody car from Warwick into London, which was a nightmare because it was chucking it down with rain the whole way there and I needed a piss. And I could have said to the driver, look, can we stop at a service station? But I'm looking at, this is the worst thing. Like, you always think it's going to change. If you ever use a sat nav and it will say, you will arrive, it has the time that you're going to arrive at your destination. So it was like 2:54 and I knew I needed to be at the hotel for 3 o'clock because I had to meet someone. So I was like, if we pull in for a piss somewhere, that's going to add at least 10 minutes on by the time you go into the services, go and run in, run out. So I'm like enduring this desperation to have a piss whilst looking out the window, watching rain come down. That was torture. But ultimately we did get there for about 2:54, get in there. And I was absolutely starving by the time I got there at 3 o'clock, had this quick meeting, and then I got into my hotel room at about 3:30, and I was absolutely starving. But then I had to be in another taxi in 20 minutes, and I wanted to have a quick shower. So had a shower, had the piss in the shower. I don't know where people stand on this. I've said it before, but for me, it's a good feeling, and I don't see what damage you're doing. The water's clearing it out. It's not like you're doing it in the bath. That's divisive. Whether you have a piss in your own bath. I mean, as long as you're not inviting anyone else in, but, there we go. So I didn't have very, very long. I couldn't order anything from their thing because when I opened it up, it was like burger and chips, £95. So I was like, and they wouldn't have it in 15 minutes. So I thought, oh no, I never use these things. I'll go to the fridge and see what they've got in there. And lo and behold, they had little miniature red wine, white wine stuff. I thought, no, I'm not following that guy off the plane. They had Kit Kat, some nougat bar, and some crisps and stuff in the drawers. And I thought, well, at the end of the day, they had them Pringles things, but not a full tub of Pringles, one like that. So I was like, okay, right, I could eat the Pringles and I'll have the Kit Kat. Let me just check how much it's going to cost first. So I go into the little welcome pack. The Pringles were £3.50, that size, right? Literally, you can get that size for £1. And the Kit Kat was, I think, £3. And I was just like, oh. As I was eating it, I was going, oh, because I was starving. I was just moaning. I didn't even enjoy the Pringles because as I was eating them, I was like, I can't believe I've paid £3.50 for a third of what I could get for £1. But again, you're in a hotel room. It's great. It's absolutely great. In the shower, the bloody hair products, they've got these little squeezy things and you're whacking it. I mean, even Tyson Fury wouldn't get enough out. It's like you're whacking it and little bits are coming out. The shower wasn't quite warm enough. So you know what? I just feel with hotel stays now, I'm actually going to see them for what they are. They are a bit shit. They are a bit shit. You think they're great when you've not been in a hotel for 6 months and you see, oh, look, there's a little chocolate on my pillow. But ultimately, they are a bloody nightmare. And that was a nightmare. But to top it all off, I get in the... Right, this is brilliant. I'm on the second floor. I don't really like using lifts. You know, I don't like flying. I don't like lifts. And yeah, that makes me think, actually. You know, like, when I was on stage the other day, I had a football and I did some keep-ups. I'm good at keep-ups. I beat Ben Foster on his. Like, I'm good at keep-ups. I wish I'd been a footballer, but I am good at keep-ups. I can do quite a lot off both feet. So at the start of the second half, I was doing some keep-ups, and I thought, you know, this, when you're doing a live show, the most satisfying thing is the money people pay for you. No, I mean, it's satisfying, but the most satisfying thing actually is you want the show to flow. So, and you never know what's going to go down well. So you can think you've got the really, really good story, and very quickly you can realise this ain't going down well, and you move on. Basically, don't talk about cancer. And yeah, it's always good if you've got something that can fill a bit of time. So I thought, you know what, I'll do some keep-ups. The crowd can get involved. So I started doing some keep-ups, and after about 70, I was like, I could go for ages. That's what she said. And I said, you know, the crowd had stopped doing. The first few, they were like 1, 2, 3. By the time you get to 70, they're like, they were going. So, and I was like, this is boring. It's boring for me. So I had to stop. But it did get me thinking, like, that is a skill that I've learnt and practiced, and I quite enjoy doing it. Why is it not an Olympic sport? Because, and people, you'll be laughing at home, you know, keeping up shouldn't be an Olympic sport. But going back to elevators and lifts, why is the high jump or the long jump still a sport? Why is that still a sport where you're getting a gold medal for every 4 years, when that was invented as a sport probably hundreds of years ago? What relevancy is the high jump now? Oh, look at me, I can jump over something really well. At what point in your life is that going to help? We've got lifts, we've got elevators to take us to the next level. It's not like, oh, look, we've put you in room 201. Oh, don't worry about the lift. I'm the world's highest. I've got the world record for high jump. I'll just throw my bags up. I'll get my mate. In fact, I'll get my mate who's good at shot put to throw my bags up, and I'll just jump through the window. Like, at what point is high jump any relevancy more than keepy ups? They're just. I mean, it just dropped into my head. But realistically, what relevancy does it have? I think the Olympics need to be reassessed. I think there's some things that need booting out. Long jump. What if you want to jump a river? We've got bridges for that now. Like, I don't get it. High jump. Oh, look at me, I can jump really high. Yeah, I've got a ladder. These things were all invented in probably ancient Greece when they didn't have ladders and they didn't have bridges. We've got them now. Keepy ups. Not everyone can do that. There's no machine that can do that for you. So anyway, I'm in the lift and I don't like lifts. So, and I'm not very good at high jump. So I will always use the stairs if I can. And I think for me, the limit is probably floor 4. As long as I'm in the first 3 or 4 floors, I'll use the stairs. So I came out of my hotel room and I saw this stairwell, and you had to use your key card. Don't you just hate that as well? This is a new thing with this is another reason not to use a lift. I don't want to use a lift because I don't want to get trapped in it. And the worst scenario is getting trapped in a lift with the unwashed or squashed. So I don't like to use the lift. But another reason I didn't like to use the lift in this hotel is because when I'd gone in there, I'd gone into the lobby, the lifts are there, and there's 3 or 4 people waiting in the lift. And I'm like, what's going on here then? And they're all panicking. And I'm like, oh, it's one of those, isn't it? So you've got someone who wants to go to the 8th floor, someone who wants to go to the 4th floor, and someone who wants to go to the 2nd floor like me, but no one can get to the lift to work. And basically it's because they're pressing the button and then you've got to press your card. Or do you have to press your card first, then press the button? I know why they do it. It's because it's a nice hotel. I can afford it. And people probably come in from outside and, I don't know, prostitutes probably. I don't know. I presume it's that. But yeah, that's a deterrent. Anyway, I like to use the stairs. So I walk out of my hotel room. There's a stairwell there. It's got a keypad there. I whack my keypad on it. It works. The door opens. I'm in a stairwell. I thought, easy work. Down to the first ground floor. I'm meeting someone. We're getting a taxi over to the venue. Go downstairs to the bottom. There's a door outside. There's nobody there, but there's a door that goes outside. I can see outside and it's locked. And I'm like, okay, that's locked. So I try another door. That's locked. And I'm like, oh, I must have come down the fire exit or something like that. There's nobody around this part of the building. So I go back up to floor 2 thinking I'll go back and I'll have to use the lift. So I'll go back up to Tor Andre Flo. I go back up to floor 2 and go to use my key, go to open the door, it won't open. Fine, fair enough, is a keypad. Go to use my lat, red. Try it again, red. So you've let me in, but you're not letting me back out now. What if the fire was in the fire exit stairwell? What if so I'll go back down again. I'm stuck here now. My mate's messaging me saying, I'm waiting in the lobby, the car's here. I'm like, I'll be down in a minute, I'm just having a bit of problems. He probably thinks I'm having a crap. I should have told him the truth. Well, he will know the truth in a minute. So I go back down to the bottom, the doors are still locked, there's nobody about, and then I notice another lift. And it looks like a service lift. It looks like something for staff. So press the button, I get in it, and it goes, I go, right, ground floor, because I'm in the basement 1 now for some reason. In the lift, go to ground floor, opens, and now I realise the door I've walked in from this side, there's a door that side which needs to open for me. Opens on this side, it's all bloody laundry. So I realise I'm in the staff elevator now. I'm like, oh God, this is a bloody nightmare. Anyway, I don't know what to do, but then the lift door closes and goes to floor 2. Opens up. This is my floor, but it's the wrong door's open again. It's opening on this side, which is for all the staff, and I can see all these laundry baskets. So these 2 guys get in, give me a smile. I think I'm sorted now, and I go, I'm lost. I'm a member of staff, and they're just nodding at me like this, and I'm like, I'm lost. Can you open the door for me? They're just nodding, smiling at me. Go up to floor 4. Lifts open again. Not on the side I need to open. Opens on the side where there's all this bloody laundry. Obviously they don't speak English. So I'm like, oh my God. Then it goes up to 10. I think, well, surely someone's going to get in. Opens up on the wrong side again. All I can see is a load of bloody drink and stuff, because obviously on floor 10 it's a nice hotel. Come on. It's obviously they've got a rooftop bar, but it doesn't open on the rooftop bar so I can go in where all the public are. It opens on the other side where all the drinks and stuff are, and there's nobody there. So I grabbed myself a red wine, a white wine, and a red. No, I didn't. Closes, goes down to the basement again. Somebody gets in. By this time, this has been going, I'm just like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. Someone gets in, and I'm like, it won't be English. And that's not, anti anything. It's just that I've already seen 2 people who aren't, and most people who work in London hotels tend to be, come in from abroad, and very welcome they are. They're very, very good at what they do. But unfortunately, the 2 I'd met didn't speak English, or were just taking the piss. He walks in. I'm almost at my wit's end here. I'm like frustrated. I've got a headache. The Kit Kat rush is hitting me. And he goes, "Are you Mark Goldbridge?" And suddenly my life comes alive again. I'm like, yes, I am. Finally, my YouTube career is paying off. Someone's going to help me get out of this bloody nightmare lift. He goes, yeah. I said, yeah, I am. He goes, oh, I watch everything you do. It's great. I says, yeah. You know what you can do for me? He hadn't offered. I said, you can get me out of this bloody lift. I'm trapped. I'm trapped in a lift. And he goes, oh, he's laughing. I'm like, right, I'm not laughing at this point. He goes, I'm just a contractor. I'm going up to floor 10. I said, when we get to floor 10, is it going to open up on the public side? He said, no, it's not open at the moment. I'm just going up there to sort some drinks and stuff out on the staff side. Is there any way I can get to the public side with you? No. I said, well, you're no use, are you? So we go back up to floor 10. He walks off. I said, he says, do you want me to ring someone? I said, do you know anyone? He said, well, no, I'm a contractor. I'm just really, I'm sorting out the bar for tonight. I says, don't worry, I will ring my mate who is waiting in reception, who can speak to reception, and he will sort this out. Suffice to say, another 5 minutes later, security found me and took me out the lift. And then I got grilled on what I was doing in there. What are you doing in there? Oh, Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, realistically, I'm now 20 minutes late to get to the venue for a sound check. But really, what I wanted to do was break your rules, get into your staff lift, and go up and down, and get a headache. Yeah, that was not a high point for me, really. But yeah, it's it. The high point though was the shows. They were absolutely fantastic. London was brilliant. The venue was fantastic. Manchester was brilliant as well. And Dublin for me was very special because that's where I lived for 3 years back when I was about 18. So I definitely want to do more of them, and I definitely want to do more of these. I mean, I've probably just rambled a load of shit. I don't even know how long we've been talking. 30 minutes. I don't even know what I spoke about. I don't know what I spoke about there. Apologies for being that long. If you've survived that long, well done. It was only meant to be 20 minutes. It really was. But no, look, I really did. I really enjoyed doing it, and really enjoyed the chance just to have a bit of a vent on frustrations. So thanks everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you on the next one. Going for Goldbridge is back. How long for? I don't know, but we probably should turn it into a podcast.